I get into trouble with storytelling-loving game designers from time to time because I have a couple of phrases that I've sort of deployed in a couple of blog posts. One of them is there's no such thing as a player character. That's an idea, I guess, that's born of the notion that a player is like an actor within like a video game drama or something like that. That's fundamentally not true. The player doesn't become a hero in a game. The player is not, if you're playing a Conan video game, you do not become Conan, for example. Conan becomes you. The hero becomes the player. The player essentially is putting on a suit of clothes and then acting out within the game world, but they're acting from themselves, not from an imposed personality. And self, as a result, makes players, this kind of idea of self, makes players quite selfish on the one hand. Like, they often act in very self-interested sort of manner. They often treat a game much more literally than maybe a designer kind of wishes they would. A very good example of this is the game Facade. If you go on YouTube and have a look at a lot of like how people actually play Facade, it is not like in the spirit of like trying to like help to mediate the argument and stuff like that. A lot of the time players play the game to try and break it, to try and figure out where the breaks are. But the second part of it is with self-expression. So a player will often love to have, say, a customizable character in a role-playing game like Mass Effect and spend a long time creating this kind of idealized avatar of him or herself that they then, if you like, project into the world from. They're not role-playing that character, really. It's still them being themselves, but it's them, like, describing or finding an identity or projecting an identity of themselves, some part of themselves into the world. They still act as themselves. They still pretty much think as themselves. They still sometimes are too literal about how they play the game. They're sometimes too not that interested in what the aesthetic dimensions of the game are trying to portray. But they feel a huge sense of ownership once they do that. They feel a massive sense of like personal creativity, a massive sense of the involvement of themselves within the game world.